Have you ever heard a story so bold, so audacious? It sounds like science fiction. Well, this one is real, and it took place in New Zealand, a land of emerald mountains and silver shores. They decided to wipe out every single mouse on an entire island, and what happened next will absolutely shock you. This wasn't just a pest control operation. It was a fight for survival. For decades, invasive species brought by humans, rats, stoats, and especially mice, had turned this paradise into a battlefield. On remote islands that once echoed with the music of songbirds, a chilling silence had fallen. The mice, small and seemingly harmless, were the ultimate destroyers. They devoured bird eggs, chicks, native seeds, even insects. Entire species, which had evolved in isolation for millions of years, were vanishing. The ecosystem was collapsing. By 2017, the New Zealand Department of Conservation declared, "Enough is enough." They launched an unprecedented operation on a small island, just 12 square miles across, but vital to the nation's ecological soul. The mission had one single goal: total eradication of mice, every last one. They called it predator-free. To some, it was a beacon of hope. To others, it was an act of hubris. The plan was like something out of a spy movie. It involved precision aerial drops of eco-safe bait, a network of infrared motion cameras, and over 100 specialists working around the clock. It was the most complex operation ever attempted on such a dense, yet fragile piece of land. Critics warned it could backfire, that removing one predator might unleash another unforeseen problem. But the government pressed on, seeing this as a test for a much grander dream: a predator-free New Zealand by 2050. The campaign began in winter, when food was scarce and the mice were desperate. Night after night, helicopters flew low over the cliffs, scattering bait into every burrow, every hollow log. On the ground, teams monitored infrared sensors and acoustic traps, listening for the faintest sign of life. For months they found nothing. No movement, no chewing sounds, no footprints. It seemed too good to be true. And it was. One night, a single motion camera captured a lone mouse darting across a rock. The entire operation restarted immediately. It became a frantic race between science and survival. Even one remaining mouse meant total failure. But after 18 relentless months of tracking, the final motion trigger fell silent. The island had gone completely still. For the first time in living memory, not a single mouse remained. It was the first total eradication of its kind ever confirmed by DNA soil sampling. The news stunned the scientific world. Yet what followed was even more shocking. Within a single year, nature responded like a wound healing overnight. Ground nesting birds, long absent, returned in swarms. Seeds that were once eaten before they could even germinate began to sprout, blanketing the forest floor. Native lizards, unseen for decades, crawled back into the sun. It was like watching a time-lapse of evolution playing in reverse. Scientists called it the rewilding effect. Every single layer of the ecosystem, from the bacteria in the soil to the birds in the sky, was recovering. The soil's microbiome exploded with diversity. Insect populations tripled. The island's night sky, once dark, filled again with the magical glow of fireflies. The change was so rapid, so dramatic, that NASA satellites recorded new patches of green appearing within months, initially confusing them for simple seasonal growth. It wasn't just plants. It was the planet itself, breathing a sigh of relief. But this miracle also carried a stern warning. When the mice disappeared, the populations of some scavenger birds also crashed. For generations, they had learned to rely on this easy source of food. With the mice gone, they struggled to adapt. Ecologists had a sobering realization. Even a good act can send unpredictable ripples through an ecosystem. Nature doesn't just reset, it recalibrates. The project became a landmark case study, analysed in universities from Oxford to Tokyo. By 2023, armed with the lessons from this first success, over a dozen more islands in New Zealand had started similar eradication campaigns. But the cost was not small. The operation required millions of dollars, advanced AI tracking, and an unshakable human commitment. Was it worth it? Asked the volunteers. "We heard birdsong we thought was extinct," said one. "That's when I realized the silence had been the real invasion." By 2025, the island had transformed into a living sanctuary. Scientists measured a staggering 200% increase in biodiversity and a 60% rise in soil fertility. The water ran clearer. And for the first time in decades, the iconic blue penguin returned to nest on its shores. International teams began studying how this model of complete predator removal could be applied globally, from the Caribbean to the Arctic. But a question still hangs in the air. Can humanity really control nature so precisely without breaking it all over again? New Zealand's predator-free mission continues, expanding to cover entire regions of the mainland, using drones, genetic tracking, and smart sensors. The country is rewriting the rulebook on what 21st century conservation can achieve. Yet, beneath the triumph lies a profound sense of humility, a realization that even when we try to fix nature, we must do it with respect, not pride. As one scientist beautifully put it, "We didn't win against nature, we just gave it back what we took." Today, that small island stands as powerful proof that our ecosystems can heal, not through domination, but through our absence. Sometimes, the most powerful action we can take is to simply step away and let nature do its work. The mice are gone, but their memory lives on in every returning birdsong. A poignant reminder that even the smallest creature can change the fate of an entire world. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as incredible as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that explores the amazing world around us. See you in the next video.